And we can just dance the night away until we get no more. Shake all the hurt away so you can feel and forget who you used to be. For just tonight, could you just dance the night away?
All right, this is part 3 of the Guild Wars 2 readings, reading Reddit stuff. It is being placed over the Guild Wars 2 stuff since we lost audio. After this, all Guild Wars 2 videos will basically just have the basic Guild Wars 2 audio and me commentary and stuff. If we do any more Reddit stuff, it'll be over web fishing because it's a game that's kind of nicer and more calmer, collected. And maybe games kind of like that are lower key, maybe Minecraft, something like that. But we've got 2 stories on this one, and they still are on the r/relationship advice. So give me a minute. I'm going to load them up. And here we go.
IF28 was his 34M everything. Turns out I was the secret. I was in a relationship with someone for just over 5 years. What we had wasn't casual. It was magnetic, all-consuming, and so full of love that it sometimes didn't feel real. We traveled together, spent weeks completely wrapped up in each other, shared countless intimate moments, emotionally and physically, that I've never experienced with anyone else. It wasn't just passion. It was peace too. There was this deep soul-level connection between us. The kind that makes you believe in fate. I genuinely thought I had found my person. And he made me feel the same, constantly telling me I was his world, that he couldn't breathe properly without me, that he had never experienced love like ours. We spoke of marriage, building a life together, even integrating with each other's families someday. I genuinely believed he was my person. I found out that during our entire relationship, he was married. Not separated. Not divorced. Married. He shared with me everything about his home life, but only that part. Smiley face. And while that did raise some red flags at times, he always had an answer: family problems, cultural expectations, personal trauma, etc. I wanted to trust him. I did trust him. Not only that, but he had a child with her. A baby he hid from me. Eventually, I got proof. Concrete, undeniable truth that he was living a double life. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. He claimed he'd been emotionally detached from his wife for years, said the marriage was never real to him. That his heart was never in it. That he felt nothing in that life, and it was me, only me, who ever made him feel truly alive, truly loved, and truly seen. He said he stayed in that situation because of fear, culture, family pressure, and cowardice. He said what we had was real, and that he had never felt that kind of love before. Part of me still loves him so much it physically hurts. The way he loved me, it was intense. Obsessive even. He made me feel like I was the only person in the world. And there's a dark, quiet part of me that keeps thinking, what if I never find love like that again? But the other part of me is disgusted. I was the other woman, without even knowing. He watched me love him so openly while knowing the full truth. He let me plan a future with a lie. Since everything has unraveled. His wife has now left him, and I have proof of it. And now he's saying he'll do anything to make it right, to make it up for me, to fix things the right way now. He wants to introduce me to his family, to his parents. He's talking about rebuilding everything honestly, slowly but surely. Eventually doing a nikah, etc. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. What we had, it was real. The love was real. The connection was real. But so was the betrayal.
Okay, so what I was going to say to this, right? I think you can't stay in this relationship, even if he is your one and only. Here's why. He's a coward. At the very least, he's a coward. And here's the thing, too. Does the wife know? Does the wife know? If the wife knows, then the situation isn't as bad. It's still bad, but it's not as bad. And in this situation, I think that if he's been lying about you, like his family doesn't know, that kind of thing, then it's a problem. But I also don't think that you should let family peer pressure or culture peer pressure is just peer pressure from dead people, as people have heard that saying before. It's the truth. They're peer pressure from dead people. And here's the problem. with that. Many cultures have been proven wrong in their methods as they grow older with some things, not everything, obviously, some things, right? And forcing marriages between people that don't love each other is just something that's happening. And also, he's lied to you once, right? And he's lied to you about a big thing, right? I would ask him, how could I trust you? You lied to me once. You hid this from me for over 5 years. And I brought you in and showed you the most intimate and the most raw part of myself, and you lied to me. Right? And here's the thing. They always say you get him the way you got him. Now in this situation, you didn't know you were the other woman. But how is it to say, what if he were to be like, oh, well, I had to marry her out of honor because I loved her and, I left my wife and kid for her. And now I love you for that reason, right? You're not the spontaneous little secret anymore. That kind of thing. So I think that even if he is the one, even if you never find love again, it is better to have someone, to love someone who honestly wants you to the point where they're not afraid to brag about you, to bring you from, because he can't bring you from his family. He can't post about you. He can't shout about how much he loves you, can he? So what's the point? If you can't be able to fawn over the person you were in love with and being with, and you can't be with them guilt-free, it's not worth it. That's not love. Love is supposed to be something that is guiltless, because you're supposed to love each other because you genuinely have a connection and because you've been honest with each other, and there isn't some unnecessary little connections or unnecessary tape that's in the way. And this is tape. There is tape on his life. You will not be able to cross over certain sections of his life because of this tape. And also on top of that, he's broken probably laws in a way, depending on if he lives in the States or not. If he doesn't live in the States, it may not matter as much. But if he lives in the States, this is considered at least emotional, if not physical affair, since you guys have had probably intimacy. So the fact of the matter is, he's broken the very fragment of any contract you could have. It's like trying to walk up to someone being like, oh, you have bad credit because you can't pay your debts back. Oh, I'm going to let you borrow, $30,000. That's fine. That's not how this works. Marriage is the same way. Relationship is the same way. He lied to you. He lied to you while he had made a swear and a pledge to be with somebody else. If he didn't want to be with her, divorce her. Sounds horrible, but it's better to divorce than it is to lie and essentially betray somebody. So I don't think he's worth it. I don't think that any amount of love is worth having somebody who is distrusting and who has betrayed you. He betrayed you and a child, and not even considering the other woman. This is assuming if that other woman is the most awfulest person in the world, right? And she's probably not. She's probably just as good as you. Probably she has no... What if she has no idea? How betrayed would you be if you found out that he'd been sleeping around with other women while you were with him, right? Don't ever trust somebody who's going to cheat on you in that relationship. Don't get me wrong. Some people can... I do agree that... I don't agree that people can change from being a cheater. I won't lie about that. But I'm overly protective of myself. But... if someone's going to recover from being a cheater and become a better person, they're going to have to do that building by themselves. That's what I was going to say, right? I personally would not date someone who has a cheating reputation, who's cheated on partners before, because I don't have time to try and build trust with you, right? But if you are someone who's cheated, then you need to rebuild yourself up alone, because that's a personal problem on your part. That is a problem that you've made. That is a decision you made, and you need to fix it. It's like a drug addict, right? Drug addicts have a reason for why they did the drugs, right? It's not a good thing, but it is what it is. But they have to go to rehab. They have to turn themselves in. They have to go to rehab. They have to put the footwork in, right? In order to be able to recover from the things that they have done to other people and themselves, right? That's not a bad thing. That just, because once they've done the footwork, it's, great on them. Proud work, right? That's what makes that work beautiful, is because they said, man, there's a problem. I'm sorry. Let me fix it. For me, for yourself. Right? You don't go to rehab for other people unless it's like your kid or something, someone who matters supremely, right? But at the very least, do it for yourself. And in this situation, he needs to do it for himself. His cowardly behavior has hurt 3 people, not just himself. He hurt potentially his wife, his kid, and his girlfriend. Here's the problem too. Even if the girlfriend, the husband, and the wife don't like each other, they do have a dead relationship. If this is a culture thing, he could have dishonored her by doing this. In some cultures, they don't blame the men for cheating; they blame the women because they didn't keep them entertained enough, right? So in this situation, he's selfish no matter how you look at it. And if you really want out of it, just leave. Just say, I'm done. He could have brought up, and if the woman wasn't into it, she may have broken up with him and be like, let me be the excuse. There was a story like that where a guy wasn't in love with her, but he married his wife to escape their home country, and she did too. But their relationship was never about, they never loved each other, and they knew that. At some point, he found a woman or a partner. I never really listened to who the partner was on Reddit that he wanted to be with, and the wife said, "Okay, well, we should get divorced so you guys can get married." They were aware. She was aware he was dating him, and actually, she was aware he was dating someone. I can't remember what gender it was, and that they were okay with that in this situation. They were just doing it to stay in the United States, right? But he didn't want to do that because his mom would have disowned him and had all this stuff, and her parents had died, so she didn't have to worry about it anymore. She goes, "Let me be the bad guy. My parents are dead. They can't say nothing now. I don't have to worry about the peer pressure." So she made it seem like it was her thing. She made it seem like she wanted a divorce, that kind of thing. And it made it to where her in-laws were mad at her, but they weren't mad at him, and he got to marry the partner he wanted to marry. That kind of thing. And even in that situation, that might make sense, but this isn't like that, because I get the feeling he hasn't told them. So, but in that situation, she was lucky that her parents, she said that it's not bad, she was kind of lucky her parents weren't around anymore, because of the fact that they couldn't say nothing. It wouldn't have hurt her to be the bad guy. That kind of thing. She got her kid, that's what she wanted out of it, that kind of thing. So we're going to move to some comments here before I wrangle too much, because I want to know what other people have said. Someone says, what you described is out of a novel, meaning it's not real and never was. Obsessive even. Isn't a good thing. It is from, I can't say the name. I'm going to try. It's too much. We're going to call him D. It's a sign that something is wrong when someone pretends it this hard and lays it on this thick. It's only responsible to question what their actual motives are. Exactly. They are absolutely right. By laying it on, I think this one's name, Krampus is part of the name of their username. But yeah, they're right. Laying it on thick means they're trying to compensate for things. And someone says competitive test 6697. I hope I got the name right, but I probably didn't. Good Lord, what are these first sentences smoking? Would cringe. Jane Augustin would cringe at this gruff. This is pretty, yeah. And someone said, lentil leaf, I think. It says a relationship shouldn't be all consuming. That's not healthy. Yeah, this is true. A relationship shouldn't be all in consuming, because your relationship shouldn't be consuming any part of you, right? A good example is that your relationship should be with somebody that meshes with you well, and it really should feel more like completion, right? My own relationship feels like that, right? I don't think of my partner as all consuming. He's actually completes the parts of me that aren't right, that don't make sense, that don't fits the bad side, because I am not as patient. Okay. I'm pretty patient, but I'm pretty bad about communications, because I have a hard time trying to lay it all flat. It's even obvious that way I talk, because I have a hard time communicating what I feel. He's patient about listening to what I'm saying, so his patience goes well with that. My patience with other people, I can put up with people a lot longer. His patience with people does not go well. He has a shorter fuse, but I'm able to distract him in the situation so that he's not having to stew over it too much, because people in public bother him. They get on his nerves, and I don't blame him. People are annoying, but I'm better at trying to not let it get to me, because I've worked retail for so long, than him, and that's fair. That's fine. He's more calm, collected, and down to earth. I'm more goofy, silly, those things. We make up for the things that we don't, that are not our strong points. He's very smart. I'm emotionally intelligent, but not necessarily physically intelligent. I don't know, I can't remember all the textbooks I've read. I can't remember all the books I've read, that kind of thing. I can't absorb the information logically as some other people do. He's very good at remembering facts and information and things, right? But the fact of the matter is that we make up the things we lack, and we enhance the good things. We both have a good work ethic. We like being punctual. We're always early to things. We don't mind putting in footwork and prep work and that kind of thing. We do good with that. That's great. But it's not consuming, because consuming is exhausting. If your relationship is all consuming, it's exhausting. And honestly, when I was reading this story, it honestly sounded way more exhausting, or out of a book, when they're trying to explain love. Because I always found those burning, hot, passionate loves to be so exhausting. But personally, I think I just like more of a relaxed simmer in reality because it's so. Because people are hard. Socializing's rough. And when you have someone up in your face all the time, it's a lot. Like when I read some of those books as a teenager, I liked them. And then I got older. I'm like, man, it must be exhausting to have the main character be told so many times that they love them. And they love them like the world and that they're their star and all this. That's exhausting. That is exhausting. But I agree with them. This relationship doesn't seem healthy because it's all consuming. It seems like the guy was overcompensating, but also you can't trust him. He wasn't honest with you right now. He destroyed what he had, or was willing to destroy what he had. And if they are like, say, the wife's dating another guy, and they're like pretending to be married and not actually upholding the marital right as some people do, then she should have been told from the beginning, hey, I'm married, but my wife and I don't love each other, and we're pretending to hold this relationship because of our culture's differences. She should have been told from the beginning that there wasn't a chance of having actual wedding marriage bells and stuff, because that might have changed her opinion, and that's a problem too. When you lie to someone in your relationship, you take the agency for them to walk away, and you get them emotionally, financially, and just get them in this false sense of, oh, I've wasted all this time with them, right? The sunk false call I can't remember what it's called, but you know what I mean. They get them stuck in that situation, and then you trap them, right? That's not what loved ones do. Loved ones don't trap you. Loved ones don't block you in like that because they want what's best for you. So the fact of the matter is, I don't think that this guy is genuine. I think he's a liar, and I don't think you should trust him or put your life on the line. It is better to never be loved again than to be loved by a liar, or to be loved by somebody who would try to entrap you emotionally. You deserve better, sweetie. All right, we'll move on to the next one before I blab more on. I'm sorry. I get a little passionate about those cheating ones because I genuinely think that people who cheat on people when they have families are just immature children that shouldn't be having adult relationships. We're moving on to the next one, which is this one.
I, 28M, caught my fiancé cheating, 28F. I've been dating my fiancé for 8 years total. We were at a family gathering for her family this weekend. She was acting strange on Friday, but nothing too crazy. On Saturday, she was shit-faced drunk. I saw a text come across her screen from a family friend that said something along the lines of, well, I'm sorry you feel like you need to puke. I can't do much, but I could come kiss you and make you feel better, face blowing a kiss. I confronted her immediately. I know this was a terrible idea, as she was drunk and I didn't have any specific proof, but I saw the message. I couldn't just ignore it. We talked for a couple hours and she admitted a couple things. 1. He kissed her last week, even though she said number 2. She was still texting him since the kiss. 3. She did flirt with him in those messages. We both agreed that we had been growing apart these last couple years. In my mind, I just assumed this is what happened as you progressed in a relationship with people. I loved her as much as the first day, but admittedly was not putting in the same amount of effort. She agreed that we were both phoning it in, essentially. She told me that she was afraid to tell me about the kiss because I have a tendency to hold grudges. This is actually very true. I do hold grudges very badly and have nuked relationships with family members before. She did say that she planned to tell me, but she just wanted to wait until after this family gathering. Unfortunately, I don't know if I can trust her word. We were at her family gathering about 2 hours away from our home. I left and drove home without her. Her parents are bringing her home tomorrow. My heart is shattered. I love this woman. We've built a family together and I never imagined having to go through anything like this. I just want advice on what I should do. I've always felt that cheating is forgivable in very specific circumstances. Like kissed a stranger at a club and immediately told you, but this one seems so much worse than that. She didn't tell me. I had to find out randomly and watched my life shatter in slow motion. Is this situation something I should even consider attempting to fix? How do I even think about moving past this? It's 8 years of our lives. I love her so much, but I don't know how I can trust her again, or if I even should. TLDR, Watched soon-to-be wife receive a text message implying cheating, confronted her immediately, she admitted to a single kiss and flirting, and now I feel like my life has exploded.
Okay. This is what I was saying about earlier in the videos. I think I was in the part 1 or 2 about how if you feed into it, it becomes more, right? So the fiance in the situation, she was complaining about how she felt that you guys were just phoning it in, and then proceeds to engage in this situation. The kiss wasn't her fault, per se, but the flirting was, right? This is the thing. She fed this. She cheated on you. At the very least, she tried to monkey branch onto somebody else with you. You don't need to be in a relationship with someone like that, because here's the fact of the matter is, you feed into that, right? And I hate when people are like, oh, but he's my soulmate, she's my soulmate, blah, 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 blah. That's bull. It's bull, okay? It is scientifically proven in multiple factors that you have multiple potential people that you could be with, in the sense of, like, there isn't one single person out there that is only for you and made only for you, okay? You have options. You're not Adam and Eve. You have options, okay? So just pick someone else. And don't get me wrong, you don't have to pick someone, you do have to pick someone who fits your curriculum, okay? Let's be real. If you like to work out, you need a guy who likes to work out. If you like playing video games, you need a guy who likes playing video games. You need to share some things in common, or at the very least, if he doesn't like those things, he needs to support those hobbies, right? And vice versa. But you have more than one option, all right? And until you're married, that's not your one and only. You can pick whoever you want in that regard. I say that because the fact of the matter is, once you get married, then that's your one only. That's when I think you become soulmates. All right. I think you become soulmates once you've made that pledge, because then you've made that dive, and then you've said, this is what I want. This is who I want. I want you above all else, through life and through sickness, through health, and even through and after death, kind of thing. It's like, that's the plunge, right? The stories of, oh, we're soulmates, we're born soulmates, blah, blah, blah. That's bull. I think that we need to have more stories right about how soulmates become soulmates when they decide to be together forever, where they decide that you are enough and that they don't need any more people. They don't need anyone else. They just need you, right? That means a lot. That has a lot of weight to it. And I think that people like this situation, she felt the distance. I don't think she communicated the distance to you about it, and then she let it grow. She let the twine just roll out of your hand, right? It'd be like having an anchor that you're holding over the edge of the boat, and you drop it, and you are told to drop it only so far, but you just let it go out of your hands, rapidly sinking, right, without question. You put the brakes on it, in a way. And in the situation, I think this is the case. She put the brakes on the relationship. I think you should say, I'm not doing this. We're not going to do this, because this is just the beginning. She was already ready to do it. She was flirting with him. And I think you should either call your brakes and say, we're breaking up, or you need to fix this and you need to not talk to that person again. But personally, I think once you start flirting with somebody else, that happens. Because here's the thing. I've known my fiance for a decade, and I had dated him for about 3 years, and then about 2 of those years we were engaged. I didn't once flirt with another guy during those 3 years we were engaged. And I'd known the man forever. I've known him since we were teenagers, right? I had no desire to be with anyone else because I was with him, and I was happy with him, and I'm still happy with him. And I'm going to be happy with him when I'm 50, 60, doesn't matter, right? Because that's how it is. And if I don't get happy, I'm going to bring it up to him. And if nothing gets changed, then we will move from there. In this situation, she didn't really fight for it. And if she did say, hey, we're just going through the motions of the oceans here, can we do more? Then you could, then it's on you for that. But at the same time, it's like, you guys have to both contribute. Did she do anything to kind of spice it up? Did she say, hey, you know what? I feel kind of distant. Let's go on a date. Let's go do something. Let's just sit here and watch a nice movie and cuddle up, right? Did she make any efforts? No? Well, then she has no right to complain. You don't get to skip around and be like, I get to do what I want because we're distant. That's not how that works. And honestly, I think you should probably cut your losses, because I think in most cases, people do not recover from flirting with other people when you are on the verge of getting married. It's not like a girlfriend-boyfriend situation. And even then, I've had friends say, well, they're just boyfriend and girlfriend. They're not married. I can see why people say that. I still think it's cheating. I still think it's unsafe, because if someone's willing to start tipping their toes in other people's pools, they're not your type of person. They're just not. If they're dipping their toes into other pools and taking and letting their mind wander of, well, what if I went with Jeremy? What if I just flirted with Jeremy? You know, then they're not for you, because they're already wandering over. They've already put their foot in the pool. It's no different than going to bed with them in that regard. They've already put themselves in that situation. They've compromised their ability to be trusted. It sounds horrible, but I'm also one of those people that break my loyalty and I will cut it off because I won't take any risks. I'm way too sensitive. I'm way too emotional. I care too much about the connections I make, right? And if you break my trust or you break my loyalty, I will cut you off faster than you can blink, because it is safer for me to be in agonizing pain from the immediate cutting off than sitting here waiting for years and years and years for you to come back to me or to build that trust back. I won't do it. It's not worth it. It's just easier. It's kind of like, you know, like when you're waxing your legs. Sometimes it's just easier to pull the wax as hard as you can and be done with it. Because then you can sit there and cry on the bed all you want about it, or sit on the side of the bathtub, or on the toilet, or wherever you're doing it, you know. You can just sit there, cry to yourself, and then prepare the next sheet of wax, all right? Sometimes it's just better that way. That's how relationships sometimes are. It sounds horrible, but if they're not going to be trustworthy, why would you want to be with them? But we're going to read some comments here and see what they say. It's this is from UX Jen? I can't tell. I couldn't even tell you. We're just going to call him you for right now. It's amazing how cheaters who are confronted presumably only ever kissed. This is true, right? And even if they only ever did kiss, it's still a kiss. That is still initiating stuff. You could still catch stuff from a kiss, okay? You could give your boyfriend or fiance a cold sore, okay? Like, you could still catch stuff. It's still an intimate thing that you should do. Because I would say, I could count on one hand the amount of times I've kissed anyone that is of the opposite gender that isn't family. Also, I don't think I've kissed, think about it, I've never kissed any of my male relatives on the lips outside of maybe my father when I was a child. And that was about it. And normally his favorite place to kiss us was our foreheads and our cheeks, because he said it was funnier because we'd giggle because he'd have a beard, so he'd tickle our cheeks, you know. But like, I could count on one hand the amount of times I've been kissed in the mouth that was romantic in a situation. Granted, I'm not, you know, I was never very much touchy feely. I was just trusting of people, even little. But and granted, even if, like, I'm sure other people have probably kissed more, but I'm sure a lot of them can count less the amount of times they kissed somebody else while they were in a relationship. How many of you kissed somebody that wasn't your boyfriend or girlfriend at the time? Like, I'm very sure that the room would have very few people have their hand up during that time frame, unless you guys were playing spin the bottle or something, you know. I never did that as a kid. I just thought that was stupid. We did play spin the bottle one time, but when we did, it was truth and dare. That's what we did. It was with my cousins and stuff. We did spin the bottle, truth or dare. We'd spin it, and then whoever spun it would tell the other person truth or dare, and then they would do it. It was basically that way we could pick it randomly. It was really fun. We ended up having one of our cousins from outside barefoot in the watery dew in the yard, screaming, and, well, he didn't scream. We were told him to run around the house, and he kind of made some noises, but not enough to wake grandparents up, but enough to kind of get the neighbors kind of questionable, and ran inside. But it was like tame stuff. It was relatives. But yeah. Let's see here. Let's see if anyone else had something else to say. And like I said, I'm not going through too many of them. I'll leave you guys to look into it yourselves. I've always found it strange. This is from Q. I've always found it strange how the one who was cheated on hates to leave a long-term relationship, while the one who cheated doesn't care at all about the years invested. If she doesn't care, neither should you. Cheating isn't a mistake you can forgive. You are fully aware. She's fully aware of what she did. There you go. That's exactly it. Why show loyalty to somebody who's already showed disregard of you? They have already discarded you. They've already thrown you away. And here's the thing. I've had people say, well, I was drunk. All right. I was under the influence. If you were under the influence, you shouldn't be around other people. All right. You shouldn't be drunk. All right. I hate to say it, but people are like, oh, well, I'm a lightweight. I'm a lightweight. All right. And I've never been drunk. I have never been in a room full of strangers or friends and been drunk, because you don't do that. It's not safe. It's not safe for lots of reasons, not just for the sake of whether you could trust the people around you to be themselves, because you could never know. A lot of people who get beaten up, attacked, or whatever are from people that are your friends and family, all right? They're people close to you, right? But here's the thing, not just that. People make dumb mistakes when they're drunk. You fall and knock out the front 2 teeth, fall out of the car, drive, whatever. It's dangerous. It's also not good for your liver, right? If you were drunk enough that you were being tipsy and flirty with another guy, and you didn't mean it because of the alcohol, then you don't need to be drinking around people like that. You don't need to be drunk. And there's a difference between drinking and being drunk. And I really hate when people make it seem like, oh, well, I had 2 shots of vodka. Oh, and that got you drunk then, huh? Then you shouldn't be drinking that much. Have 1 vodka or no vodka at all, right? Some of those mocktails taste really good and they don't taste any different, but they don't have a drop of alcohol in them. I love mocktails. They're nice, right? But like, my point being is that you got no excuse. You're an adult, all right? And you drink responsibly, right? And it's different when spiked your drink, because there's also stories where some people have had their drink spiked and then they end up cheating, and in the situations they were assaulted, all right? If you've been assaulted, you don't get counted in this bunch, okay? That's different. You were a victim of a crime. But if you drank that and it was just normal alcohol and you put it in your body, you paid for it, that's your own problem, all right? Like I said, I don't go out of my way to just drink with random people. That I don't even drink with family like that. Even so, it's just not, like, that's just not how you do it. It's just not smart. So yeah, and I agree. It's weird how as soon as somebody disregards you, that you somehow don't want to let go of it. Let go of it. They've already cut your hand off. They've cut the rope, the connection to you, because they don't care about it nearly enough. And if they didn't care about it at the time and didn't communicate it, they're still on them, right? But we're going to end this video here. Thanks for everyone who popped in. This is going to be the last Guild Wars 2 with the Reddit stuff. So now we'll have normal Guild Wars 2, and we'll move from there. Hopefully it was enjoyable. Have a nice day.